Hello all, it's been a while. I just want to say I'm sorry I haven't put out any videos because I basically haven't been doing any work on any of the buses for the last few weeks. Just my job has just been full on, and I've just been absolutely shattered. I get one day off a week and that's a Sunday, and that's usually when I go and work on the buses. And the last few months I've just been crashing out on Sundays and just not doing anything. Nothing really needs to be done to the buses. They don't need any work. I mean, there's some cosmetic stuff. The Merlin needs a clean, it needs its roof painted and things like that. But I'm not going to Bus Fest this year, so there's no prep to get them ready. I also pulled out of the Transport Heritage Weekend, which was the New South Wales long weekend, which could be this weekend, or if you're not seeing this video until next week, it was last weekend. I was offered to take the Decker, but I said no. Anyway, we've also been doing a lot of work. You can see I'm sitting in front of the F150. I've got some news on that, but first of all, I want to show you my new toy. And you'll see where I am. So if I get up, this thing should follow me. I've got a new tripod. So, yes, I'm at home, and yes, I've got the F150 up on a jack. Let's walk you around here so you can see this thing. This is great. Just follows me around. It's like having a cameraman. I'd really love to get that running one day. I've got a mate called Scott. You've met Scott. He'd be able to get that running. That could be a future video. And I am working on a couple of things bus related. I'll tell you about a little bit later on, but let's have a look and see what's going on with the F150 on this episode of Steve Stuff. I was going to take the wheel off, but I don't think I'd need to show you what I'm talking about. So, when I had that transmission issue, I got back to Sydney, decided that I wanted to get the transmission serviced. I didn't trust, well, whoever overfilled it, I didn't trust the fluid that they used. So I gave it to my guys, my mechanics, and we rebuilt not rebuilt the transmission, serviced the transmission, new filter, new proper fluid and all that sort of stuff. And what's that there? Bit of moisture up under there. I want to take this skid plate off shortly to see if I can find this jingle noise. Anyway, when my mechanic came to pick me up to give me the car back, he was test driving it. He said, "I can hear that noise that you were always talking about." And I said, "Yeah, I don't know what it is." And he said, "That's bearings." So we did a bit of a Google look and found that the bearing in these is built into the hub. So I had to buy 2 new hubs, and to replace them, the CV axle there has to come out. That silver thing at the front of the CV axle is called a hub actuator, or an IWE, which is integrated wheel end, they call it in the States. So that all had to come out. The knuckle, the whole wishbone, trailing arm, whatever you call it, all had to come out so we could move this wheel sideways to get the axle out. New hubs went in, beautiful, no noise. Until the next day, I was driving around to pay the mechanics, and I pulled up and I said, "Get in, there's another noise." Because the hub noise was fixed, we could hear this other noise, which turned out was coming from this IWE, this actuator here. Now, I'm trying to hold the phone up with one hand and point with the other, a bit wobbly. They bolt to the back of the hub. There's a cog system inside, and using vacuum from the engine, when the car's driven about 5 k's, the transfer case control module sends an earth to a solenoid in the engine bay, opens the solenoid, vacuum arrives down here at this IWE, and it sucks it out. It pulls out the CV axle, the front axle. So for the first 5 k's that you're driving, that front axle is moving, as is the diff. You're not in 4-wheel drive. The transfer case control module has you in 2, so it doesn't send any power to the front wheels. There's a readout on the dash that you can prove that, which I checked. So I dug down deep again. These things are prone for failure. Either you get a leak in the vacuum system somewhere, and they're a common fault. Trouble is, the F150s that they sell in Australia start at 2023 and up. They upgraded this from my model. This is a 2020. The next upgrade, the Gen 14, they went to an electric system. So these vacuum parts and this IWE, you cannot get them in Australia. So I've been waiting for weeks for parts, and we've slowly replaced everything. And then it turned out it was just this one. I mean, that's a new one. It was this one side. I'll show you. So engine bay, that's a vacuum source from the engine. Picks it up this line, runs through a check valve. That's a one-way check valve. It won't release anything back in. Down to this solenoid here, vacuum into there, and then when the solenoid gets an earth, vacuum into that, down to the wheels, pulls out the IWE. If I go into four-wheel drive, just by turning the knob on the dash, this earth disappears, the solenoid closes, no more vacuum, and then you've got your four-wheel drive engaged. Okay, so the lines then disappear down here and go to each wheel. So here's the solenoid. I bought a new one because I thought that one was no good. It didn't arrive, so I bought a second one. The second one arrived, then that one arrived, and then it turns out the one in the car is fine. So I've got 3 of those now. Again, cannot get them in Australia. About a $45 US part. Good to know that I've got some spares. This is the line. I bought new ones of these. Again, nothing wrong with what I have. So I've got spares. And this is the line that comes down from the joint. And this here attaches to those 2 nipples there. So this is an IWE. This is the ones, or these are the 2 that came out of the car. What I've got here is I've got a vacuum source. I'm going to apply vacuum to this. Now this is facing to the wheel. This is connected to the CV axle and to the hub. See all the cogs? Now watch what happens. Now remember, that way. Watch what happens when I apply vacuum. See that come in? So that's pulled in. So when, after about 5 Ks, earth to the solenoid, vacuum to the wheels, vacuum to this, in comes the CV joint. Now CV joint and front diff are no longer turning, and the front wheels are turning freely without any help from the transfer case or the front diff. So if I now release that vacuum, we are now in 4-wheel drive. So that's how the system works. And after testing everything, absolutely everything, we realised that one of these was bad. I'm not sure which one was bad, so I bought 2 new ones. They're like $290 each. They are now in the car, and that problem is solved. Thank the good Lord. So everything's good. The car, I drove up here yesterday, it drove beautifully. So lovely and quiet now, how it should be. It's taking so long to get this bloody thing to where it should have been when I drove out of the dealers. And I know a lot of you are saying that I got sold a pup. I didn't get sold a pup. I got sold a good truck, but it had just been abused by its previous owners, I think. And because I swooped in and bought it and wanted it so quickly, I don't think that dealer had time to go over the thing, make sure everything worked. Maybe they did, and they did a shoddy job, I don't know. But it's taken, 6 months, 7 months to get everything right. And then driving up yesterday, I noticed when I go over a little bump, like a crack in the concrete pavement on the freeway or whatever, I'm getting a noise. It's a jingle. It's not a knock, it's not a bump. It's like a tambourine. Jiggling, jiggling, like your keys. Don't know what that is. Because we've been into the front suspension of this thing twice over the last month, first to do the bearings and then to do these, maybe there's something in there that's not been clipped in properly or whatever. So I'm going to get under the car now and have a look and see if I can find it. So that's a beautiful tool to have. For $70, best $70 I spent, because I was able to test everything. And so test the lines, yep, they're fine. And just series of going back to the source, we found out that it's actually this wheel end. They are prone to failure. There's a big aftermarket market in the US for them because they fail so often. So I think that's why Ford went from the vacuum to electric, and they don't have to worry about this. There's a little diaphragm in there, gets a pinhole leak, just enough vacuum. So just say, for example, that's out. There we go. So I'm in 2-wheel drive. If I just release a little, tiny little bit of vacuum, like a little leak, that's just trying to push that CV axle back into the bearing, and that's the grinding noise I could hear. And then when I slowed down or backed off the throttle and the engine gave enough vacuum down here to pull that back in, the noise abruptly stopped. So there you go, quick explanation. Now you know what I've been going through. And I've got plenty of spares now. I didn't throw them out because I wanted to show you guys how they all work. Now I've got to go and try and find that little jingle. It's like Stevie Nicks on a tambourine every time I hit a bump. Righto, welcome to my current view. That is a crash plate that protects the steering rack and the, where are you, the front diff. You can see here why you can't get that front diff. To change the diff oil, I've got to suck it out. I'm going to do that job while I'm here. I bought a air-operated sucker. The steering rack's too close. You can't get that front cover off properly to give it a good clean out. Nice work, Ford. Anyway, I cannot find anything under here that's loose that would make a jingly, metallic kind of tambourine-y, you know, when you jingle your keys kind of rattle, except for, let me try and get my hand up here. See that? There's one there. There's one there. There's one on that cross member and one on that cross member. And they are like a captive nut clip to hold that up. The bolts that hold that up go into there. When it's tight, I can't see how it's rattling, but I am going to throw some rubber underneath all four of those and cinch them up nice and tight. Then I've got to go for a drive into town. I'll see if that's the problem. It seems to be coming from the driver's side. There's nothing in there that's loose. Everything is nice and tight, all Loctited. Nice to see. You know, we're all nice and dry with fluids. Everything's fine. Oil's been done recently. I wonder how I know that. So anyway, oh, what was that? Is that a drip? No, bit of grass. All right, I'm going to do this, see what happens. I went into town, can still hear the jingle. And I'm starting to think maybe it's coming from the back or underneath. So I'll have a look at that in a minute. I wanted to do this. This is one of the favourite things when I come home after being away, is to unleash the beastie. And yes, I covered the rego number because you just never know. Have a look at you, darling. Tyre's a bit low. Gee, that Christmas bird's early. They're not usually around till late November. No more dead mice. Now this little jobby comes highly recommended from a YouTube channel that I watch. First time I've used it. This generally starts under its own battery. Just takes a little while for the fuel pump to start sucking from the tank, so sometimes it can drain itself. So we'll just chuck these straight on, we should be right. Ready. Beeping at me for some reason. Error 3. I think it's trying to tell me that the battery's a bit low. I'll check the book later on, but thank you, you just did your job. Oh! Sorry about that. Just had some neighbours, heard me start the car, popped over, had a chat, a beer. While we were doing that, I used this and chucked some air in the two front tyres. They were both a bit low. Another little Amazon doodabber. So good. like 3 minutes to do the tyres from nearly flat to 30 PSI. And as you can hear and see, she's running nicely. Very well looked after car, and we think it's a, well, the dash says 100, well, it says 01,000, so we think it's 101,000 miles. It's a miles car. And a mechanic friend of mine said it looks like the heads have never been off. I think the battery's no good. You see down there, it's showing red. You can hear though, there's just a rattle there in the exhaust somewhere. I might try and get it out while I'm home, get underneath it and find out what that rattle's coming from and see if I can fix it up. There's still a little bit of hint of dead mouse smell. I don't know. I don't think I made a video on that, but I think Christmas time when I was home, there was just a putrid smell. Could not find it anywhere. Ended up having to take the dash out, and there it was, right behind the middle of the two gauges. So even if I took the gauges out, I couldn't see anything. I took the binnacle out, couldn't see anything. But as soon as I got the whole cluster out, he was there, and he tried to go underneath quite a thick wiring loom harness, and he got stuck and he died, and he still had maggots in him. So it was only a fresh thing, but geez, that stank. Not quite gone yet, but close. And that'll do for now. Righto, next day. I'm back under this car. That's one of the exhaust hangers at the very rear. There's a little bit of play there. I'm actually going to drop this exhaust out. I had planned on doing that this trip, but the company I bought it from said it'd ship within 10 days, so I had it shipped up here. And then when I still hadn't received it, the day before I was coming up, I rang them and I said, has that exhaust shipped? And she said, no, it's not here yet. And I said, well, you told me on your website when I ordered it, it'll ship in 10 days. And she said, oh, that ships to us in 10 days. And I'm okay, well, that's a little bit vague. So I changed the address. It's getting shipped down to the bus yard now. I'll do this job. So I have bought an exhaust for this. It's a resonator delete. It's just one small box, and it should make it sound nice and V80. It will fit into the original hangers. Yeah, I don't think that's my rattle. So let's have a look at the other thing that the video suggested. You see that there, the join piece behind the cat, the left-hand cat over there, it comes around here and joins with the driver's side cat. And see those stainless steel, they're like a plumber's Jubilee clip. And that's how they've attached the heat shield to that piece of exhaust pipe. Now, people on YouTube say it's a common fail. When they rust, they rattle, and it's a jingly, metallic-y rattle, which is exactly, and it happens when you hit a bump or go down a dirt road, which explains exactly the sound I'm hearing. But I've just been over there and it doesn't seem to be that, because they're all tight. If I come in from the front, I'm upside down and trying to hold this camera, but they're the culprits there, but my three, there are three there, they're all tight. So that can't be the problem. And I just cannot find anything else under here that's loose. I just pulled the jack stand out from under it, and as I was doing it, that's the kind of noise I can hear every time I hit a bump. Hear that? Just like a jingle, like a tambourine. Lordy. Something else I'm going to do today. I don't know if you can tell, but I've come down with something. Sore throat. Now it's gone to my head and my chest. So I'm just trying to, I was going to go on a bit of a drive today and chase up an old bus, but I just decided to stay home and fiddle around here. It's a nice warm day, and just going to try and rest and let this thing pass through me. But I want to get these two started shortly, kick them in the guts, Barry, can see I've covered the number plates again. Well, you just never know, do you? So I'll do that shortly, get them running and up to temperature and whatever. I probably won't drive them, maybe just back and forward in and out of the shed a bit just to make sure the drums aren't all tightened and bound up. But first of all, I'm going to go to the other shed, get the GT out and have a look at that exhaust box rattle, see if I can sort that out. It's a Ford Fest today, except for the Toyota. It's a rental car. So I'm going to jack this one up, get underneath it, try and sort out that exhaust rattle. It's not as bad. There it is, it's back again. That's got a bigger engine than that, funnily enough. That's a 5.0, that's a 5.8. 307, 351. Anyway, we're going to do some celebrating of Fords right now and let this one sit out in the sun for a while. Unfortunately, I'm starting to see some terrible signs of rust. I painted this car and I'm not a painter, so it's lasted as long as it has. I think I painted this in about 2010. But yeah, this car, it's in storage for now until I move back home and I can give it some love again. But I've just noticed something else as well that I don't recall doing. There's a bit more there. I just jacked her up. When I restored this car, got a little tiny bit of a weep there at the diff. When I restored this car, I pulled this fuel tank out and I painted it. And I painted it and I actually treated it with that POR15 or whatever the Australian version's called, where you kind of coat it in a similar ceramic-y coat like this on the inside. Anyway, so I took this whole tank out, did it all in the silver POR15. I don't recall doing that. It's bottomed out and something's almost gone through the bloody tank. I wonder who did that. All I can think, there's only other people that drive this thing. Actually, it could have happened getting loaded on or off the truck. It probably goes back that far. I shipped them over in 2011. The only other time anyone else has driven this would be the mechanic, when I had the brakes done and I had some other work done. Or family members moving around for me while when there was bushfires getting close to the house a couple of years ago and I was stuck in Sydney. So anyway, that's good to know. That looks very close. I reckon probably the removal truck's done that and I didn't notice it and they got away with it. Bastards. Right, as you can see, a nice solid car under here. It's, while I'm under, the diff looks a bit, while I'm under it, I'm going to spray everything down and just kind of protect it from the rust a little bit. But I want to see where this, you can see a cable there, looks like the handbrake cable. Can you see up that far? It's got a bit of terry toweling or something wrapped around it, possibly trying to stop it rattling. So we'll start there and see what we can come up with. Very quick job. In fact, no job done at all. The noise is in the actual muffler itself in the box. When you rattle it, something inside rattles and just rattle, 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 rattle. Rattle, 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 rattle. And it's in both sides. So I will get online and check out. It looks like a fairly new exhaust. It's probably been put on it before I bought it in Perth. So I'll measure up the size of them, measure up the size of the pipe, and that can be a job for possibly Christmas. It's been rattling for ages. Very annoyed about that damage done to the tank. And I also found a little bit damage down under that front guard that I don't remember being there, along the lip of the sill. Anyway, I've just coated everything with rust inhibitor and WD-40 and everything else I could find, just to keep it all nice and fresh until the next time I'm home. What are you doing over there? I've got this thing going again. It's supposed to be following me and it went over that way for some reason. Right, so generally the FJ will go flat on me before it'll crank over, and I've usually got to end up putting the charger on it overnight. The EH is pretty good. It'll start mostly first go, although I think it was a little bit piggy last time. But I've got the Gulu ready. Let's see what happens. There's oil in it because as soon as I took the dipstick out, it all started spurting up through the tube. Right, I'll turn that choke down. Okay, I think I'll just hit this one with the starter pack. It does follow you, doesn't it? Something happened there. Oops. Got an E3 message again, like Falcon yesterday. I don't know what that means. Try again, or I'll try it without it. The battery's dead flat, so I'm gonna have to go back to old school ways, throw a charger on it. Right, so that's got the charger on. That one sounds fine. It's always had that tap. I've been told a million times it just needs the tappets adjusted. That's a 149. It's not the original motor for this car. This car is a WA car, assembled in Fremantle. I think they did the Holden bodies. And it's originally a 149 vehicle, but this isn't the same engine. It's not a matching numbers. So I've done a little bit of work. You can see these silly things. Play Dixie like Dukes of Hazzard. But I've never really had a problem with this car. It had a exhaust manifold gasket blow one time. But if I take it out on a club run, it's generally pretty good. It leaks though in the rain. It's terrible. But yeah, good, solid, reliable car. Always pretty much starts first go. I had I had it rebuilt when I first got it years ago in Perth. I had all the brakes, clutch, everything replaced. Trouble is, sitting around in a shed like this, rarely getting driven anymore. Things start to fail and rot. Anyway, that's that one done. We'll give the FJ a bit of time to charge up and then see if that one goes. We might need a new battery finally. I think it's been dying a little bit every time I come home. The light's working, blinker's working, all that stuff. I'm not showing much fuel in the gauge, so that needed just a tap on the carby just to unseat that needle. Might have been stuck, probably why it didn't kick over so quickly before. And then just with the charger on it, had enough oomph to get it going. But I think that's only a small battery, not a lot of cold cranking amps, because it'll fit in the hole, or like in the area. I think it's could be out of a Bobcat, something like that, you know, small tractor. Anyway, we'll let that one get some fluids moving and some juices flowing. She's sounding good. This car's a bit of a sad story. I mean, good for me, but sad for the original owner. Back in 2017, early 2017, I think it was around Australia Day, we drove down to get it. There's an older fella, and he did a full frame off, full everything, rotisserie restoration. It's not the original colour, you know your FJ paint codes. It's originally one of the creams, but this guy had a model that I now have a copy of in this colour, and he liked it so much that he had the car painted in that colour. And then he should have gone with the blue interior, but he likes the red, so he did all complete red leather interior. Didn't scrimp at all, money wasn't an object. And underneath this car, when I bought it, it was perfect. It was still anodised bolts and washers. Sadly here we live on a dirt road, and I try and keep it protected. I keep it sprayed underneath there with fish oil and whatever. But the engine always had little niggles with it. Something here, something there. I've rebuilt the cubby. There was a video on that a while back. But for the most part, it's running nicely. Sounds like it should. I've been having trouble with the brakes though, because it sits around and then the brakes tighten up on me and I try to move it and they just kind of seize. That's about all I'll do here today. It's really, really hot. It's almost beer o'clock, so I'll let this fella idle for a little bit and call it a day. Actually, I'll tell you a problem I did have with this, and we couldn't work out what it was. It kept showing an overheating light. The temperature light kept coming on. And because I wasn't sure if it was overheating or not, I'd always turn around and come home. You know, I'd head off to go and see Dad or something and get into town, and all of a sudden the temp light's on and I'm turning around. We got a heat gun or a laser pointer thing on it and it was fine. So it boiled down to be a combination of that temperature sensor and the wrong temperature radiator cap, or the wrong pressure radiator cap. And that's what was causing all the problems, and of course now there are none. Well, it's a couple of days later. All the air, the old Holdens, the Falcon, they've all got the covers back on them. They're all ready for me to head off again. You can probably hear it in my voice. This flu has been building and it's hit me like a train. I think I drove up here on Sunday. I noticed Monday my throat was getting a bit tickly. Then it went to my head, then it went to my chest, and now today it's getting better, but it's still, you know, I'm still contagious. I've been trying to stay away from everybody. I haven't been going into town and pretty much just been resting. And that's pretty much what I'll do tomorrow, and then I'm going back on Saturday. And it's a long weekend in Sydney this weekend. I have to be back at work by Monday. So I just thought I'd wrap this video up here and let you know that I think I found that rattle. In the forums and online, they're all saying the heat shields, there's some pretty significant ones. There's one around the rear spare tyre, there's one around each cat. I've checked them, they could be the culprit, but I reckon it is that rear exhaust hanger. I'm going to replace the exhaust, so when I do that, I'll order a new hanger and I'll replace the whole lot. It looks like maybe the rubber's come away a little bit from the metal. I don't know. I drove it into town a couple of days ago to get my hair cut, and it seemed to be not as bad. So anyway, the good news is all of the noises in the front end are gone and the truck is driving beautifully, the gearbox and everything. So I'm really happy with that. We'll see how it goes on the way back to Sydney. I didn't get a chance to chase that old bus that I mentioned to you earlier in the video. I have an idea for something that I think you'll like. And also there's some exciting things coming up with some movements of both of my buses that are in Sydney. I can't tell you much about that yet, but that is all on the way and I'll bring you along with me when it happens. It's too early for a beer and I shouldn't be drinking with the medications I'm on anyway. So I'll leave it there. Say thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this little video just on what I get up to when I'm up here on the family place. Until next time, take care. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends. And I'll see you next time on Steve Stuff.